Hello and welcome to RC Truth Media. Today we will be discussing the grand solar minimum. Right now we're in solar cycle 24, as you can see on my background. Unlike the media has been saying and academia for years, we are not going to be burning up anytime soon. Matter of fact, since the 1980s we have seen weakening solar cycles, and we're in a period of a grand solar minimum. Now, here is an article from NASA, science.nasa.gov, published June 27, 2017. Says solar minimum is coming. This was an article from a year ago. High up in the clear blue noontime sky, the sun appears to be much the same day in, day out, year after year. But astronomers have long known that this is not true. The sun does change. Properly filtered telescopes reveal a fiery disk often speckled with dark sunspots. Sunspots are strongly magnetized, and they crackle with solar flares. Magnetic explosions that illuminate Earth with flashes of X-rays and extreme ultraviolet radiation. The sun is a seething mass of activity until it's not. Every 11 years or so, sunspots fade away, bringing a period of relative calm. This is called solar minimum, says Dean Pesnell of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, MD, and it's a regular part of the sunspot cycle. The sun is heading towards solar minimum now. Sunspots count were relatively high in 2014, and now they're sliding toward a low point expected in 2019 and 20, while intense activity such as sunspots and solar flares subside during a solar minimum. That doesn't mean the sun becomes dull. Solar activity simply changes form. For instance, says Pesnell, during solar minimum we can see the development of long-lived coronal holes. Coronal holes are vast regions in the sun's atmosphere where the sun's magnetic field opens up and allows streams of solar particles to escape the sun at vast solar wind. Pesnell says we see these holes throughout the solar cycle, but during solar minimum they can last for a long time, 6 months or more. Streams of solar wind flowing from coronal holes can cause space weather effects near Earth when they hit Earth's magnetic field. These effects can include temporary disturbances of the Earth's magnetosphere, called geomagnetic storms, auroras, and disruptions to communications and navigation systems. During solar minimum, the effects of Earth's upper atmosphere on satellites in low Earth orbit changes too. Normally, Earth's upper atmosphere is heated up and puffed up by ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Satellites in low Earth orbit experience friction as they skim through the outskirt of our atmosphere. This friction creates drag, causing satellites to lose speed over time and eventually fall back to Earth. Drag is a good thing for space junk. Natural and man-made particles floating in orbit and around Earth. Drag helps keep low Earth orbit clear of debris. But during solar minimum, this natural heating mechanism subsides. Earth's upper atmosphere cools and to some degree can collapse. Without a normal amount of drag, space junk tends to hang around. This is the important part. There are unique space weather effects that get stronger during the solar minimum. For example, the number of galactic cosmic rays that reach Earth's upper atmosphere increase during solar minimum. Galactic cosmic rays are high-energy particles accelerated toward the solar system by distant supernova explosions and other violent events in the galaxy. Pesnell says that during a solar minimum, the sun's magnetic field weakens and provides less shielding from the cosmic rays. This can pose an increased threat to astronauts traveling through space. Solar minimum brings about many changes to our sun, but less solar activity doesn't make the sun and our space environment any less interesting. So they're saying that during a solar minimum our magnetosphere weakens and we get more debris from outer space that's allowed to come in. More ultraviolet rays, more solar flares, more magnetic explosions. We're going to have all kinds of stuff, radiation that enters our atmosphere, and this is causing all these events, and I'm going to get to that now. Okay, so here's a picture of the carbon cycle, what happens. Alright, so academia wants us to believe that as we advance in technology, and as we get more cars out there and use more gas, that this is going to end up causing more carbon, and we're going to end up heating up from this. Well, let's see what a scientist here has to say. As Dr. Ed Berry says, how can human carbon dioxide, which is only 5% of natural carbon dioxide, add 30% to the level of atmospheric carbon dioxide? It can't, he says. Actually, what happens is carbon dioxide is plant food. So the more carbon dioxide we produce, the more food that we're giving to the plants and everything. As this picture shows here, on the right of the picture you have two buildings that are puffing up smoke with the cars as well. Now this smoke will go up in the air and produce these clouds, so they'll end up turning into clouds, end up producing rain, which will in turn, on the left you see it coming down, raining down, being more food for the plants and vegetation, which ends up going through the water tablet and coming out into our soil, and it ends up repeating this process over and over and over again. So this theory has been debunked. Now, what really is causing these events all over the earth is the grand solar minimum, and he actually shows us charts here, and I show it the charts here. Okay, it says the shift of our global weather patterns are set to amplify 2 times from July through December in 2017, which it did, and then from 2018 to 2019 it's going to be a 4-time shift, with another jump as the spread widens 6 times in 2019. What we see here, and I'll explain this to you, as you see the arrows and the space between the arrows, the shorter the space, the less activity that you're going to have. What happens is the shorter the space, the more of a shield our planet has on it to protect it from all the space weather. The larger the space, the less of a shield we have. So as you can see, in 2017 through 2018 our shield weakens because it's getting bigger, and therefore we've had more hurricanes, more volcanoes, drastic weather all over. And here we go, 2018 to 2019, it increases a 4-time shift. So get ready. This year is, and we just entered the hurricane season right now. So with our magnetosphere weakening, we are going to see drastic events all over the planet. So this is a warning video to everybody, and the year after it's going to get even worse, all the way through 2025, and then in 2030 it's going to happen again. So this is a time basically for changes in our planet in all ways. We have changes in the weather, changes in the sun, changes in the money system, the economy system, changes in global finances, global relationships. Everything right now is changes. But what we should be focusing on is our personal lives and how we can be changing ourselves to get better. It's all basically all it is getting better. You know, everything before it gets better, we have to point out the problems first. And the same thing is going on our earth, in all ways. Now, I want to tell you another thing that's contributing to these hurricanes. Okay, I just thought I'd throw this in there. Here's a list of patents from geoengineeringwatch.org. He does a great job on all of his work, Dane Wigington. But I would like to show you the patents. All you can do is, if you want to see this, go to his site, click on patents. It'll show you a long list of the patents that the United States has had for over 100 years. Okay. Now we're speaking about the hurricanes and the weather events that have been happening. Now, ever since 2001, the United States has had a patent, believe it or not, on hurricane and tornado control device. Okay, method of modifying the weather. They've been doing this for a long time now, but they can even make hurricanes. Let's go on and show you that one. 2008. Method for controlling hurricanes. Okay, so last hurricane season we had a bunch of hurricanes, right? And right here, let's go talk about that. Matter of fact, let's go talk about these hurricanes real quick. Like, okay, scroll down, get to the hurricanes, because this is very, very interesting what he says right here. Looks like a fairly sober BBB analysis from weather forecast, avoiding some of the more extravagant climate claims the BBC is sometimes guilty of. The past year has been a busy one for hurricanes, they say. There were 17 named storms in 2017, 10 hurricanes, and 6 major hurricanes Category 3 or higher, an above average year in each respect. The 10 hurricanes formed consecutively, without weaker tropical storms interrupting the sequence. The only other time this has been recorded was in 1893. Okay, so in 1893 they did not have supposedly any kind of weather control systems that we know of back then, and it had happened normally back then. But let's look at what else it says. Are these storms getting worse, and does climate change have anything to do with it? A year of records. This Atlantic hurricane season has been particularly bad. There was Harvey, which pummeled the United States in August. It brought the largest amount of rain on record from any tropical system. It caused the sort of flooding you'd expect to see once in every 500 years, causing a $200 billion of damage to Houston, Texas. Ironically, this was the third such one every 500 years flood Houston had suffered in just 3 years, though. So this is only supposed to happen every 500 years, and this happened to them in 3 times. Okay, 3 times in 3 years. So September brought Irma, which devastated Caribbean communities. It was the joint second strongest Atlantic hurricane ever, with sustained winds of 185 miles per hour. Those winds were sustained for 37 hours, longer than any tropical system on record anywhere in the world. And look at how much money they got from this. $200 billion of damage. Okay, so that's going to be a lot of rebuilding. That's going to be a lot of economy booming, a lot of borrowing money, and it happens right at the time where the wealth, our money, the dollar, is devalued to the point where our purchasing power is at below the last 4 cents compared to what it was in 1913. So the dollar is worth 4 pennies compared to what it used to be worth in 1913. That's weak. That's very weak. So at a time when all this happens, you know, just like the Rothschilds started all these wars at a time they really needed money, well, now we know they can make hurricanes, and they do it for business, you know, at a time that they really needed money. But this is also happening at a time where we're in the grand solar minimum, like I told you, when it's expected to happen. You know, so it's expected to happen, and it's also happening records, you know, and they also can control it. But look at this right here. 2017 was probably the costliest. Estimates for the cost of the hurricane season vary and continue to be revised, ranging up to $385 billion. That's crazy. $385 billion. Okay, so a lot of rebuilding. We've had a lot of hurricanes, record hurricanes, especially in the United States. And the United States is the ones with this patent. Let's go talk about that. Method for controlling hurricanes right here. So if they've had this, let's see what they've been doing real fast to show you guys over the past 100 years. We go back. This is a lot of patents, by the way. Method of producing rainfall, that was 1891. Rainmaker, 1913. Protecting from poisonous gas and warfare, that was in 1915. Okay, then you have process of producing smoke clouds from moving aircraft in 1927. Okay, that's the same thing they're doing right now. These long trails that you see all over the sky, they did that in 1927 and had a patent for it. Okay, well, let's see. You can read all of this as I go down here. Process for controlling the weather in 1951. So whoever says they can't control the weather, been doing that that we know of since 1951. Cloud seeding apparatus, rainmaker, method for producing precipitation, artificial clouds. This stuff is definitely going on. But I wanted to show you one thing. Remember that $280 billion that I showed you? The money. So 2012, geoengineering method of business using carbon counterbalance credits. So yeah, this is one of their methods of business for making money. And it just so happens that they use their method for controlling hurricanes, I believe, to go ahead and make money off of this. Okay, and which they love doing. You could see all the wars that they've caused in the Middle East and everything. Money is a god to these people. Power is a god to them. Which shouldn't be like that. They should be thinking about love and peace and everybody out there, and trying to think of the welfare of the planet. Instead, we have unrighteous people in control. We don't need to be having things like this on our planet. Spread the word. Get this out there. Thanks a lot for coming to my channel. Please like and subscribe. I'll shoot a link below if you would like to donate to me. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.